Hello, everyone. Wanted to talk a little bit about the possibility of teachers having access to weapons in school. The purpose in that would be in the event that a shooter would come into a school, there would be some kind of a trained drill that would have been practiced where the students and the teachers would then have a way of defending themselves against whoever that attacker is. Now, there's a lot of debate as to whether or not that's a good idea to actually give teachers access to firearms in order to deal with the possibility that a student attempts or disgruntled person in general comes into the school and threatens the lives of the children. However, people need to look a little bit deeper into this matter because you have to think about the religious beliefs of the teachers. Is not as simple as would having guns in school help defend against an attacker. Well, if it was that simple, then yes, it would help in the event that someone tried to shoot up the school. But it's never that simple, is it? What are the religious beliefs of some of the teachers? Well, some of your teachers may be members of a cult called Jehovah's Witnesses. And there was a really big story about a police officer who was on duty and did not enter the school. Now, he has his reason as to why he did not enter the school. I believe it was that he did not think that the danger was in the school, but somewhere else on the football field, and he was misguided. Others think that he essentially fled from protecting the children. This is important, not just in that you don't want your police officers running away from the citizens that they should be protecting, but it is also important because your teachers need to be able to put the lives of the students above anything else. And you have Jehovah's Witnesses that for the longest time have not saluted the flag, a simple display of national unity, and they won't do it. Jehovah's Witnesses in the schools, beginning of the school day, everyone gets ready to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses are extreme. So they're going to say that saluting the flag, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, that's worshiping the actual object, the flag. Keep in mind, no one else in that classroom is intending on worshiping that flag. The person that wrote the Pledge of Allegiance was not writing that as some sort of a religious doctrine. The people that designed the flag didn't create it as an object of worship, some sort of a cloth god. But Jehovah's Witnesses, you are dealing with people who are irrational and do not think accurately on the smallest of issues. Is having a national emblem a god? No. Is having some sort of a national unity, like everyone saying the Pledge of Allegiance, everyone at least agreeing on that in a country where you're free to voice your opinions on a number of topics. Is it important to have some sort of unity? Yes. Jehovah's Witnesses, they can't reason that way. Cult members do not reason the way everyone else reasons, and that is why I bring up the police officer who, for whatever reason, did not enter the school and disarm that shooter, because whether or not he intentionally avoided the situation, teachers who are Jehovah's Witnesses, people in the school who are Jehovah's Witnesses, are extreme pacifists. I don't know of very many other religions where you would have teachers in your school, maybe Amish, but from my understanding, the Amish are in their own communities. Teachers in your school that would be so passive that the lives of the children in their care would be in danger. A dangerous situation occurring in that school, and that Jehovah's Witness would be like that police officer who ended up somewhere other than protecting those kids for whatever reason. That teacher would have, I'm sure, in their head, cult member. Keep in mind, they're not thinking rationally. They jumped out of a window and ran, let's say, for an example, and left all the children in the school while there was a school shooter. Well, that cult member comes from a religious culture where you avoid any kind of confrontation under any kind of circumstances. You've heard that Jehovah's Witnesses don't do this, they don't do that. They're extreme pacifists, extreme. They don't get involved with anything. And that mentality does not work in the real world. In the real world, we're dealing with situations right now where the children are at risk. There's shooters that have gone into schools. There's things going on out here, and they need to be addressed. Having teachers on your staff that believe that if they just avoid situations, then that's the right stance to take can be very detrimental. And it's something to think about. It's something to think about. If when you send your kids to school, their teacher, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, is a Jehovah's Witness, and if the country was under attack, would not help. I remember like it was yesterday, I was having a Bible study, family Bible study, and the topic came up that if we were all in bed asleep and a burglar came into the home, alarm goes off, he intends on doing us harm and taking what he wants from that house. What would our, at that time it was my stepdad, what would the head of the household do in that situation? I'm there, my mother's there, my stepdad is there, and he flat out said he would leave the house. If there was a burglar there, and I remember my mother not liking that. She looked at him and she did not like that answer. And all of us as kids, we felt a lot less safe knowing that the head of our household would run. He would get out. He would not approach a burglar, even if it meant saving our lives. He would get out. This man is an elder now. That type of thinking, of avoiding everything, Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate this. They just avoid everything. Now they don't have any kind of family function because for them, when everyone is off work for Christmas and everything else, they just avoid the whole issue. They don't meet together as families. They're just anti everything. Military, we've touched on that already, but it is necessary to protect the civilians. It's necessary. However, Jehovah's Witnesses are not allowed in any country to so much as go through military training. Now, the concept that you're going to live in a world where you can just avoid everything is untrue. And unfortunately for our kids that go to school, it's a reality. They can't go to school just like any other kid would go to school thinking everything's going to be fine. Nothing could ever happen. They know now that anything could happen when they go into that school building. So they, like I did as a child, would like to have the feeling that if something were to occur, the adults will protect them. And if there are teachers that are Jehovah's Witnesses, this is something that needs to be addressed. We don't have the luxury of having people in charge of our kids that think we can just avoid everything by being passive. We're passive, all the problems will go away. Now, for Jehovah's Witnesses, of course, they can avoid the military because other people will fight the war for them while they sit at home and knock on doors. They can avoid and have the luxury of, well, I don't want to go to war. Well, nobody wants to go to war. It's a necessity. And without it, there could be total and complete chaos. An enemy nation would march on our soil right now if everyone just decided, hey, everyone in this country, let's say, decided, hey, we're not going to go to war. And it's something that, of course, we know in the real world, it's just not going to work out that way, that everyone is just going to all decide we're not going to do this anymore. So Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed, because of freedom of religion, to live in a fantasy world where they can, hey, we don't want to go to war, so it just all goes away. Somebody else handles it. And we get to sit at home and feel better than everyone else because someone else is fighting our wars for us. The terrorism, all the other things, someone else is handling it, and we will avoid it. And while avoiding it, feel like we're better than everyone else. So it really becomes an issue of public safety. This religion needs to be looked into for various reasons. The number one reason being the power it wields over people. The children that have been molested by leaders of this religion, and no one does anything. The shunning that happens with anyone that speaks out about any of the wrong things that this cult does. They tell their family never to speak to them again. Those are things that need to be addressed. But now that we, as a society, have to look at the schools, how can we make them safer? We have to look at the mentality of the teacher, because if you put a gun in that school and lock it up somewhere and have drills, it won't matter if that teacher is a Jehovah's Witness and believes they can just avoid any kind of confrontation, and it'll just work out that way. They're welcome to do that in their homes. If someone breaks in your home and you want to just let them do whatever they want, then that's fine. But you have children in that school that don't abide by that religious belief. They're not Jehovah's Witnesses. Those little kids, they're not Jehovah's Witnesses, so they should not have to suffer because they're teachers in a cult. So if they do decide to put guns in schools and train faculty to use those guns in the event of an emergency, this needs to be looked at. This needs to be looked at, because a teacher may not say anything until it's too late. There's a shooter in the school and their religious belief is to let the shooter do what they want, because they think life works that way. So we really need to discuss this. Comment down below and let me know what you think. And for the longest time, I haven't been concerned about, even if there was a cult member in a school, teaching or what have you, as long as they're teaching the curriculum, I wouldn't have been concerned. If your teacher was a Scientologist, as long as they're teaching the curriculum, I wouldn't be concerned. But now that you have situations where we need people that's going to protect the kids, bottom line, we need people that if in the event there was an emergency, they're going to protect the kids. And you have people with extreme religious beliefs where even if they have the opportunity to confront the shooter before he gets to the kids, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. They knock on his door and think that that's going to fix everything, but they're not going to protect the kids. So comment down below. Let me know what you think about them putting guns in the schools to protect the kids. Let me know what you think about the teachers, the faculty. If they put the guns in the school and their religious belief is extreme pacifism, even in the event that that's going to result in more people dead than would have been if they confronted the shooter and did what they had to do. People don't want to use the guns. If they put them in the schools, people don't want to use the guns against an intruder, but they would do so because they had to. In Jehovah's Witnesses, you're dealing with people that are so delusional that they wouldn't even call the police if one of their kids said an elder touched them. Like they're that delusional to believe that everything will just get fixed because the end of the world is tomorrow. Freedom of religion, you can have that belief, but how is it going to affect the children? That's what I would like to know. Comment down below. 937-789-4029. Let's discuss the matter. How are those extreme religious beliefs going to affect the children? And it's amazing that while that religion won't allow its members to be police officers, because police officers have to protect the community. And they don't want their people to be approaching any kind of person that presents danger. But yet and still, Jehovah's Witnesses will call the police. If something's going on, something's happened to them, they will call the police. So again, it's okay for a police officer to put his life on the line for a Jehovah's Witness, and they call him to do so, but it's not okay for the Jehovah's Witness to put their life on the line to protect the community. Explain this to me. I believe in, if I were to believe in passes, I'm not going to go call someone else to handle it for me. I'm just going to be passive and let it go. See? If someone assaults me, I'm not going to call a cop to go and handle this guy if I believe in passism. But Jehovah's Witnesses will call the police. It's a cult. I think a lot of it is just fear and avoiding situations that are not avoiding situations that they're not brave enough to deal with. They're fine with the military going out and risking their lives to help them. They're fine with the police risking their lives to help them. They're not okay doing it themselves, is what it is. That's the truth of the matter. So this is something that I think may need to be touched on in the community. The community needs to be aware of the religious beliefs of the teachers, because it affects their kids. Not that people don't have a right to their religious belief, but if it affects their kids, then yeah, they need to know what the teacher's religious beliefs are, and find out if that's going to affect their children in the event that their children's lives are put in danger. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite Marcus signing out.